Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and doing another video, but it's okay. I just wanted to get this in. In the previous video, Islam: A Short History by Karen Armstrong, that review, I mentioned Rumi, the mystic, Islamic mystic, and my favorite Christian mystic, which was pretty interesting, is Meister Eckhart, the man from whom God hid nothing. And you can get a new translation of his sermons. Sometimes the sermons are pretty hard to come across in an English translation. But Matthew Fox had this book, Breakthrough. And Meister Eckhart's Creation Spirituality in New Translation. So this was given to me by an old friend who was a counselor in the Catholic Church. She collected quite a few books, and because of her sexual orientation, she left the church, and she gave me almost her whole Catholic library, and this was part of it. I had no idea what it was. I knew Matthew Fox was pretty controversial, but one day I pulled it off the shelf, and I remembered a lecture that I heard from the teaching company on Meister Eckhart. And I didn't even know what I had. So these books end up sometimes being like little golden nuggets. They're like treasures. And sometimes they don't mean anything except for, at the right time. So if you can get this book, Breakthrough, you will have almost all of Meister Eckhart's sermons, and there's a pretty good commentary at the end about it. I think there's 74 sermons in here. Let me see, just to be sure. This might take a minute. 37. 37 sermons, which is pretty good. So, I just wanted to read a section of the foreword of this, and you'll see why I'd like this book. Carl Jung once said that to the mystics that we owe what is best in humanity, and farmer poet Wendell Berry says that it is necessary to fight the worst with the best. If both of these stickers are correct, then it is clear that Meister Eckhart provides significant weaponry for the mystical and prophetic agenda that faces humans in the 90s. Some may object to my using the military term weaponry. However, I believe that one of the important items in the recitation of our species must be spiritually, which takes back the essential spiritual archetype. If the warrior from the militarism of our nation-state war departments, Meister Eckhart, and indeed the whole spiritual tradition of the Messiah as warrior, need to be resized by the awakened mystical tradition. So that's just a part of it, but this book was great. And if you can, I'll put the link to it. Maybe you can find it cheap. You can buy it used. You'll have a good translation of some of the sermons of Meister Eckhart. I just wanted to read Sermon 2. This is a section on how this was translated. This was a sermon on 2 Timothy 4:2. The phrase which we have read today and tomorrow for the feast of our Master, St. Dominic, comes from St. Peter's letter. In the vernacular, it runs this way: announce the word, pronounce it, produce it, give birth to the word. It's an amazing thing that something flows forth and nonetheless remains within. Words flow forth and yet remain within. That is certainly amazing. All creatures flow forward and nonetheless remain within. That is extremely amazing. What God has given and what God promised to give, that is amazing, inconceivable, and unbelievable. And that is as it should be. For if it were comprehensible and believable, things would not be right. God is in all things. The more He is in things, the more He is outside of things. The more He is within, all the more He is without. I have often said God is creating this entire world full and entire in this present now. Everything God created 6,000 years ago, and even more, as He made the world. God creates now, all at once. God is in everything, but to the extent that God is godly, and to the extent that He is intelligible, God is nowhere, as much as He is in the soul, and also, if you wish, in His angels. He dwells in the innermost dimension of the soul, and in the highest aspect of the soul. And when I say the innermost, I must mean the highest. And when I say the highest, I mean the innermost region of the soul. The innermost and the highest realms of the soul, these two are one. There were time there where time never penetrates, where no image shines in the inmost and highest aspect of the soul, God creates the entire cosmos. Everything which God created 6,000 years ago, and everything which will be created by God after thousands of years. If the world lasts that long, God is creating all of that in the innermost and highest realms of the soul. That just gives you kind of an example of where he goes with this. Then there's the rest of the sermon and the commentary. But yeah, Meister Eckhart, the Christian mystic, one of my favorites. Be well, and remember, everybody's thinking alike, and somebody isn't thinking.